there everybody, and welcome to our video. We are the Missouri Paranormal Association. My name is Michael. I'm the lead investigator. I'd like to introduce you to the rest of the team. We have Lorraine, who is our second in command and lead investigator. And then we have Ted, he's our tech guy. And we have Tanya, she's Lorraine's sister. And we have Brittany, that's my daughter. She's currently an investigator in training. Now, before we go diving off into our videos, we'd like to ask you to do us a favor and hit that like button. Please share with your friends, and please hit that subscribe button. It's a little thing for you, but it's a big thing for us, and we do greatly appreciate it. You can contact us through our website at MissouriParanormalAssociation.com, or you can email us directly at MissouriParanormalAssociation@gmail.com. You can check out our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Facebook. We conducted an investigation at the Walnut Street Inn on Saturday, April the 24th, 2021. This was actually our third time being at the Walnut Street Inn. We conducted an investigation here in 2018 and another one in October of 2020. Considering everything we caught on video, as well as all the EMF hits we got during our 2020 investigation, we decided to come back in April of 2021 and try to reinvestigate. Now, before we start getting into our videos, I'd like to go over the 3 criteria that our team looks for as far as possible spirit orbs. First thing we usually look for is if it's transparent. Usually when we think about spirit orbs, or orbs in general, you usually think of a spherical object, something that is circular in shape. Now, there's a lot of teams out there on the internet and on TV shows who will react anytime they see this transparent little ball show up on the screen during a video. However, as a team that is based in science, we feel it is our duty to point out that anytime you see a transparent little ball show up in your video, 9 times out of 10, that little transparent ball is just a piece of dust. But we have to put a caveat on that and say that sometimes just because it's transparent does not mean it's just dust. There's other criteria we look for. This leads us to the second criteria we look for, which is, does it glow? Abnormally bright, almost like it has its own internal heat signature or its own internal light source. But again, we have to put the caveat on this and say that just because it's glowing or looks like it's glowing does not necessarily mean it's a possible spirit orb. This leads us to the third criteria that we look for, which is, does it move against the natural airflow in the room? If it moves against the natural airflow in the room, even if it is transparent, it can still be a possible spirit orb. There is a fourth criteria that we do look for that we need to add to this, and that is the way it moves. If it seems to follow a seemingly intelligent flight path, which ties into moving against the natural airflow in the room. Now, we need to point out that you'll never hear us call something absolutely, positively a true spirit orb, because as a team that is based in science, we cannot say that. Science is all about asking questions and forming conclusions based on where the evidence takes you. Now, you'll often hear us referring to something as an orb if it's round, circular, and spherical. Anything that is round and spherical will be considered an orb, but it's trying to differentiate between a dust orb and a possible spirit orb that we are concerned with. If we see an orb that is transparent and is simply floating along with the natural airflow in the room, that tells us this is a piece of dust. Now, as I said before, one of the criteria we look for is if it glows, but there's a caveat to that. If you see a transparent orb floating along with the natural airflow, and it looks like it starts to glow as it gets closer to the camera in such a way that the closer it gets, the more brightly it seems to glow. And as I said before, just because it glows or looks like it glows does not make it a possible spirit orb. We look for something that is moving against the natural airflow. Now, if we see an orb floating either towards the camera or away from the camera, but it seems to glow the closer it is to the camera, before we can pronounce that a possible spirit orb, we have to ask the question, is it moving against the natural airflow? If it is, then we'll call it a possible spirit orb. But if we know the direction of the natural airflow in the room, and we can tell whether it is moving with the airflow or against the airflow, then we can discern whether we can call it a possible spirit orb or discern if it's a piece of dust. Another thing we look at is the speed at which it travels. If we see an orb in a video moving at an excessive rate of speed, it's probably a pretty good bet that it's a possible spirit orb, because a piece of dust is not going to travel at an excessive rate of speed. So now, with all that being said, let's dive into our videos. And this first clip shows this extremely bright, glowing possible spirit orb as it travels in front of the fireplace in the O'Neill room. It does seem to be traveling at an unusually high rate of speed for it to be considered a piece of dust. You see it come down from about 3/4 up the screen in front of the fireplace, and it's already glowing before it even gets to the camera. So we have this very nice, brightly glowing, fast-moving possible spirit orb in the O'Neill room. So now we're going to move on to the next video. Now this is our second video from the O'Neill room, and we have another possible spirit orb. But what makes this one unique is that it is displaying several of the things that we look for. It does seem to be glowing. It is definitely moving against the natural airflow in the room, and the way it moves is very unusual. Another thing that makes this very unique is the fact that it doesn't appear to be just one orb. It appears to be two orbs, with one piggybacking on the other one. And we're actually now calling this one the piggyback orb. And we are going to say this is a possible spirit orb. As a matter of fact, we believe this very well may be two possible spirit orbs, with one catching a piggyback ride on the other one. And it is definitely one of the most unusual possible spirit orbs we have ever seen. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Now when Ted was watching the CCTV monitor screen and he saw this orb, he remarked at how big it seemed to be on the screen. However, when we went back later and were reviewing the video, we realized it's actually not a very large orb. It just looked that way in the monitor because it is incredibly close to the camera's lens. Now we do want to point out this particular orb does seem to glow when it first appears at the bottom of the screen. It does still seem to be glowing as it moves up the screen, and then it does seem to turn transparent as it gets closer to the top of the screen and starts to move away from the camera. However, we can safely say that we do not think that this is a piece of dust, and we base our conclusion on the fact that, number one, it is glowing, or it does seem to be glowing, but we also base it on the fact that this is moving up the camera's frame from the floor to the ceiling, which definitely is against the natural airflow in the room. So yeah, we are definitely going to call this one a possible spirit orb. Okay, now we're going to move on to this next one, and this is again in the O'Neill room, and you'll see me as I'm leaving the room, and just after I shut the door, you see this brightly glowing possible spirit orb as it shoots out from in front of the bed. We first see it as it rises up. Now we're going to play this at the normal speed a few times first, and then we're going to slow it down and play it in slow motion as it rises up. Plus the fact that it does seem to be glowing far too bright when you consider its distance from the camera. Plus the fact that it does seem to be shooting up, which is definitely against the natural airflow in the room. And we are definitely going to call this one a possible spirit orb. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one, and this is another possible spirit orb in the O'Neill room. Not only does it appear to be glowing, but also the fact that it definitely moves against the natural airflow. We see this thing rise up from the floor. It goes up a little bit, and then it drops back down. So yes, we are definitely going to call this one a possible spirit orb. Okay, for this next video, we got to set up some context. This video was recorded on our Facebook Live during our 2020 investigation at Walnut Street Inn. During this investigation, I was training Brittany in the proper use of the EMF detector in the McCann room. We were getting these minuscule little hits. We started getting hits on the side of the bed and decided to travel around to the front of the bed, over to the foot of the bed, to see if we would continue to get more hits on the EMF detector when this suddenly happened. Oh, whoa, dude, oh, damn.
What is it? What is it?
That chair
Are
just,
you kidding
that
me?
chair just started rocking by itself.
Are you serious?
We were doing an EMF sweep, and this thing started rocking and scared the crap out of me.
Crap. Where you going, Brittany?
So when we went back to the Walnut Street Inn again in April of 2021, we decided to check that chair and record it with our Facebook Live video, just in case. I should go ahead and point out, while we're here doing this, just in case this happens like it did last time,
Right.
we're going to make specifically sure there are absolutely no wires, no string. There's absolutely no way that this rocking chair, if it moves, there is no way that it should, because there's no strings, there's no wires,
anywhere attached to this chair. So this chair should not move by itself. There's absolutely no way this thing can move by itself.
But if you want to rock in it, you're more than welcome to. We wish you would.
We just want to point that out right off the bat.
Our intended goal here was simply to have recorded video of the chair showing that there were no wires or string attached to this chair should it somehow move at any time during our investigation. One thing we can report is that the chair did not move at any time during our investigation on this night, April 24th, 2021. Okay, for this next set of videos, we're going to take a look at something that happened during our October 2020 investigation, in which this door in the O'Neill room opened seemingly by itself 3 different times. Now, the first time the door opens, what blew us away was that dark, shadowy hand. But then it opens 2 more times by itself without a hand present. So we're going to watch this video real quick. Okay, so we cannot explain that shadowy, ethereal, dark hand, for lack of a better word, that seems to appear when the door opens the first time. One thing we can say is that all of our team members were accounted for at the time that video was recorded. Brittany was upstairs in the Wilder room, I was in the Rosen room, and Lorene was in the McCann room, and Tanya was in the lounge area just outside the McCann room. Now, typically, in past investigations, what we have done is, after reviewing our footage, any video that does not have anything paranormal going on usually gets deleted, and that's what we did in this case as well. All the footage that showed the location of all of our team members did not have anything paranormal going on, so that footage was deleted. It wasn't until after we posted the videos from that October investigation that we realized the error we had made in deleting all that footage, because we started getting questions from people who thought that dark ethereal hand-like object that appeared in the door might be one of us. We knew we were all accounted for, but we started kicking ourselves in the rear end for not keeping the footage that showed where we were. We have now changed that policy because of what happened and the fact that we deleted all the footage that showed where we were. So today we do not do this anymore. Now, if anything like this paranormal happens and gets caught on video, we make sure to keep any video that shows where we are with the timestamp at the bottom of the screen. That way, in future investigations, we can post any and all video that shows where we are when something like this happens. Now, we decided when we went back in April of 2021, since we could not explain that dark ethereal hand, we would instead concentrate on trying to recreate the other 2 times that the door opened and shut by itself. So we decided to test that door. We did decide to use the video from the CCTV camera in the O'Neill room, but we also recorded it on our Facebook Live feed. What we wanted to concentrate on was the fact that when the door opened, you actually had to turn the doorknob. Couldn't just push the door open. You had to turn the doorknob and make the latch click before that door would open. Likewise, in the same manner, when that door shut in the original video, you can clearly hear the latch click every time that door shut. During our testing of the door, we could only open the door after turning the knob. We also tried opening the door and allowing the door to shut on its own. What we discovered was when you open the door and simply let it go, the latch did not click, so the door was not completely shut the way it did in the original video. It actually took some force when you released the door. You had to actually put some force behind it to make it shut. So if that door, even if someone had pushed it open, when it closed, it did not have enough force behind it to shut all the way and make the latch click. So in the original video, even if you had someone on the other side of that door pushing it open just a little bit to make it look the way it looks in the original video, there's no way it could have enough force behind it to close. There would not be enough force behind it to make the latch click. In order to make the latch click, we had to either put force behind it when we released it to let it shut, or you would have to literally push the door shut. For this reason, we were not able to debunk the door.
Okay, now the last time we were here, we had what looked like an apparition standing by the bed right over here. You know what? Let me close that needle on that suitcase because it's getting in my way. Right here is where that apparition showed up. I'm not seeing it right now. Yeah, this is where the apparition showed up. Right here by the bed. Right here in this very spot. Right here. Right by that window. But tonight, it is not here. At least I'm not seeing it anyway. Right there is where that sucker was last time. Right there by that little table right there. This time, nothing.
Okay, the next thing we want to look at is the video of a possible apparition that we caught on our thermal video camera during the October 24th, 2020 investigation that we caught using our Facebook Live. During that investigation, I was instructing Brittany in the use of the thermal camera. Now, I should point out that this thermal camera does not record its video. It can take screenshots, but it cannot record video. So anytime we use this thermal, we have to use another camera to record the video from it. In this particular case, we used the camera from our phone as we were recording on Facebook Live. We got a notification on the phone from one of our viewers saying that they had seen a figure by the bed. I did not notice that notification because while this was being filmed, I was not watching the screen. I was actually looking around the room and I was not seeing anything. It wasn't until later when we were going through all of our footage and it came time to go through all of our Facebook Live video that we found this. In the original video that we posted, what we did, we cut out the clip of this apparition in the thermal and we took a screenshot of it. Actually, we took several screenshots of it and we added those screenshots to the original video, which is what you're seeing here. Once we posted the video, we started getting messages from people on Facebook telling us that we should go back, reinvestigate that room, and see if there's any possibility of any piece of furniture in that room that could be misconstrued as a possible apparition. So when we went back on April the 24th, 2021, we did just that. We went back and reinvestigated the Rosen room with the thermal to see if there was any piece of furniture in that room that might in any way resemble a human figure. We compared photos that we took during our October 24th, 2020 investigation with photos that we took during our April 2021 investigation, which showed us that all the furniture that was there in the Rosen room in October of 2020 was exactly the same furniture that was there in April 2021. Nothing had been moved. Everything in that room was exactly the same as it was when we went there in October 2020. And when I used a thermal in that room when we went back in April 2021, I could not find that apparition or any trace of it anywhere, since all of the furniture in that room had not been moved or taken out of the room in any way. It was all exactly the same as it was in October of 2020. We feel safe to say that what we caught on the thermal in October of 2020 was not a piece of furniture, and we do believe based on the evidence at hand that what we caught on the thermal in October 2020 may very well have been an actual apparition. What we can report is that we did not catch any apparitions on our thermal in the Rosen room during our investigation on April the 24th, 2021. Okay, now we're going to show this video right here. This is just showing some of the EMF spikes we got from our October 24th, 2020 investigation. We kept getting these small intermittent EMF spikes all night long throughout the entire investigation, but we weren't getting anything at all on the K2. When we returned in April of 2021, just the opposite happened. We were getting huge, massive, off-the-chart K2 hits that lasted all night long throughout the entire investigation, but we weren't getting any hits at all on the EMF detector. The reason we consider this odd is because both devices are designed to register electromagnetic fields. The main difference between these two is that the EMF detector uses a digital readout, whereas the K2 uses a series of lights. During both the October 2020 investigation and the April 2021 investigation, we had placed brand new, fresh batteries into both devices. During both of these investigations, we tested both devices on electrical appliances and outlets just to make sure they were working, and they both tested well and proved they were working. Since both devices were working properly, and since both devices are designed to pick up electromagnetic fields, we have no explanation at all as to why one would work and the other one would not. So we're going to leave this up to the viewer. You decide, is it paranormal or not? We certainly have no explanation. Alright everybody, that's the end of our video. We want to say thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. We'll see y'all in the next video.